Hello, everyone. Here we are. We're going to get going with Isaiah 39, but first I want to correct a mistake that I made last night regarding Isaiah 37, where it says Hezekiah is saying in front of Isaiah, "It may be that the Lord your God will hear the words of the field commander whom his master, the king of Assyria, has sent to ridicule the living God, and that he will rebuke him for the words the Lord your God has heard." Now, for some reason, I interpreted that as he was saying, maybe he'll agree with the king of Assyria. And that's not at all what was being said. He's saying, I hope he's heard him, and I hope he's going to rebuke him. Okay. So just want to clear that up. So let's get going with Isaiah 39. I also want to mention that occasionally you'll notice that when I mean to say Hezekiah, I'll say Isaiah or vice versa. Just know what I mean, because sometimes I don't realize when I'm talking that I've done that, and I'm sure that you catch it, okay, and that you know what I'm trying to say. All right, so Isaiah 39 is very, very short. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt myself again and tell you that what I've seen and heard so far, it looks as though the Lord warned the Israelites about trusting in man, most notably Egypt, who they thought was very powerful and would come to their aid. And so he made sure that they were relying on him before the Assyrians came to attack. Okay, so that's what I've seen thus far. And the Assyrians were driven away because the angel of the Lord slaughtered 185,000 of them during the night while they slept, just knocked them out. Okay, so the Lord has his ways, and he will protect who he will protect. Okay, you can rely on him. All right, so here we go. 39, very short. Envoys from Babylon. At that time, and some of this is going over what we've read in Kings and Chronicles, you'll recognize it. At that time, Marduk, Baladan, son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent Hezekiah letters and a gift because he had heard of his illness and recovery. Hezekiah received the envoys gladly and showed them what was in his storehouses. Hold on, I've got an itch in my nose. I've got so many mosquito bites on me right now, it's just a nightmare, and I'm just itchy everywhere because of them. It's like I feel like my whole body's itching. All right, so Hezekiah received the envoys gladly and showed them what was in his storehouses. This was a mistake, and this was before Babylon brought Israel into captivity and looted these storehouses, okay? So he's unwittingly gullibly showing them the treasures that they have, and he shouldn't have done that. Okay, sometimes we can be too trusting, a little bit of kindness, and we just go, the silver, the gold, the spices, the fine olive oil, his entire armory, and everything found among the treasures. There was nothing in his palace or in all his kingdom that Hezekiah didn't show them. Then Isaiah the prophet went to King Hezekiah and asked, "What did those men say, and where did they come from?" "From a distant land," Hezekiah replied. "They came to me from Babylon." The prophet asked, "What did they see in your palace?" "They saw everything in my palace," Hezekiah said. "There's nothing among my treasures that I didn't show them." Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, "Hear the word of the Lord Almighty. The time will surely come when everything in your palace and all that your predecessors have stored up until this day will be carried off to Babylon. Nothing will be left, says the Lord, and some of your descendants, your own flesh and blood, who will be born to you, will be taken away, and they'll become eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon." Now, to be made a eunuch, the Chinese did this too. There were always eunuchs around the palace, around the emperor, around the king. To be made a eunuch is to be waiting on your emperor or your king. You're not going to have anything to do with women. You're not going to be, sometimes eunuchs took care of the harems, okay, because they had no desire. So they weren't going, it was like being neutered. They had no sexual desire, so they weren't going to harass the women. But in China, I don't remember the details. I know it's very severe. I mean, when you become a eunuch, you are a eunuch for the emperor and you wait on the emperor. You're a trusted servant, okay? And some will become, and they'll become eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. The word of the Lord you've spoken is good, Hezekiah replied, for he thought, there will be peace and security in my lifetime. So, you know, we've laughed about this before. He couldn't have cared less what was going to happen when he was dead and gone. He's just like, well, as long as there's peace and security in my lifetime. And aren't we kind of like that at times? You know, it's human, but it's kind of uncaring, to say the least, you know, to not care. I guess that was his way of soothing the fact that he'd made a mistake. You know, it's like, well, it won't happen in my lifetime, at least. Because he basically has consigned his progeny to becoming eunuchs to the king of Babylon by showing them, trustingly, showing these Babylonian envoys around his palace and all the riches he had. And he had a lot of riches. I mean, you have to remember all the riches from King David's reign. You know, they're all in there. I think Solomon's reign, too. Yeah, I think Solomon already happened before Hezekiah. Didn't he? Okay, I'm sorry. Let's look that up really quick. Who was first? Solomon or Hezekiah? It's going to be Solomon, but I'm asking anyway. However, the United Kingdom split, and 10 of the 12 tribes of blah, 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 blah. Solomon, yeah. How many years were there between King Solomon and King Hezekiah? Okay, so yes, he was, it looks like 256 years. So when the Lord addresses Hezekiah as a son of David, it's because he's in that line. They're all sons of David, from David on, okay? All right, so let's do Isaiah 40. Comfort for God's people. Comfort my people. Says your God, speak tenderly to Jerusalem and proclaim to her that her hard service has been completed, that her sin has been paid for, that she's received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins. Wow, that's punishment. A voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. And that's something that John the Baptist shouted out in the wilderness. He said that too. So this is before, way before John the Baptist. So here it is written. A voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be raised up, every mountain and hill made low. The rough ground shall become level. This should give you hope, okay, if you're struggling right now. The rough ground shall be made level, the rugged places a plain. And the glory of the Lord will be revealed. Now remember, this is the Lord comforting Israel after they've paid double in punishment. And the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all the people will see it together, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. A voice says, cry out. And I said, what shall I cry? All people are like grass, and all their faithfulness is like the flowers of the field. The grass withers, the flowers fall, because the breath of the Lord blows on them. Surely the people are grass. The grass withers and the flowers fall, but the word of our God endures forever. And yes, it does. It's not going anywhere. Will fade. The word will never fade. You who bring good news to Zion, David's city in Jerusalem, go up on a high mountain. You who bring good news to Jerusalem, lift up your voice with a shout. Lift it up. Don't be afraid. Say to the towns of Judah, here is your God. See, the sovereign Lord comes with power, and he rules with a mighty arm. See, his reward is with him. Someday you're going to see that, folks. and his recompense accompanies him. He tends his flocks like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in his arms. Well, this is a picture of Jesus Christ. And carries them close to his heart. He gently leads those that have young. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, or with the breadth of his hand marked off the heavens? Who's held the dust of the earth in a basket, or weighed the mountains on the scales and the hills in a balance? Who can fathom the spirit of the Lord, or instruct the Lord as his counselor? Whom did the Lord consult to enlighten him, and who taught him the right way? These are good questions. Who was it that taught him knowledge or showed him the path of understanding? Surely the nations are like a drop in a bucket. Now we know where we get that phrase. They are regarded as dust on the scales. The nations. He weighs the islands as though they were fine dust. Lebanon is not sufficient for altar fires, nor its animals enough for burnt offerings. Before him, all the nations are as nothing. They're regarded by him as worthless and less than nothing. Not people, nations. Okay, nation has a different connotation. It could stand for, it could be whatever that nation is standing for. It means nothing to the Lord. As for an idol, a metal worker casts it, and a goldsmith overlays it with gold and fashions silver chains for it. A person too poor to present such an offering selects wood that will not rot. They look for a skilled worker to set up an idol that will not topple. Do you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been told you from the beginning? I know you've been told about Jesus when you were little, okay? Have you not understood since the earth was founded? He sits enthroned above the circle of the earth, and its people are like grasshoppers. He stretches out the heavens like a canopy and spreads them out like a tent to live in. He brings princes to naught, to nothing, and reduces the rulers of this world to nothing. No sooner are they planted, no sooner are they sown, no sooner do they take root in the ground than he blows on them and they wither. And a whirlwind sweeps them away like chaff. So if you get frustrated with some of our politicians, just remember, it's just temporary. The Lord will blow on them at some point and they'll go away, because that's what happens to everybody. In other words, what is that saying? It's not more will be revealed. It's sort of like, I don't know if there's a saying about it. Just wait. I mean, stuff doesn't stay forever. To whom will you compare me, or who is my equal, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes and look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry host one by one and calls forth each of them by name. Because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. So when you go outside and you look up at the stars, that star has a name. The Lord knows its name. He named it. Why do you complain, Jacob? Jacob would represent Israel. Why do you say, Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord, my cause is disregarded by my God? Okay, so that would mean either you're doing something you don't want the Lord to see and you figure he can't see you doing it. And the second one, my cause is disregarded by my God. So there's two concepts here. One is I'm sneaky and I'm getting away with it. The other is the Lord doesn't care about what I'm going through. Do you not know? So let's read that again. Why do you say, Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord? My cause is disregarded by my God. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. That's a very famous scripture. Isaiah 41, the helper of Israel. Be silent before me, you islands. Let the nations renew their strength. Let them come forward and speak. Let us meet together at the place of judgment. Uh-oh, I'd be scared to see that meeting with our current nations. Who has stirred up one from the east, calling him in righteousness to his service? He hands nations over to him and subdues kings before him. He turns them to dust with his sword, to wind-blown chaff with his bow. He pursues them and moves on unscathed, by a path his feet have not traveled before. Who has done this and carried it through, calling forth the generations from the beginning? I, the Lord, with the first of them and with the last, I am he. He's always been there, people, and he's always going to be there. The islands have seen it and fear. The ends of the earth tremble. They approach and come forward. They help each other and say to their companions, be strong. The metal worker encourages the goldsmith, and the one who smooths with the hammer spurs on the one who strikes the anvil. One says of the welding, it is good. The other nails down the idol so it will not topple. But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, you descendants of Abraham, my friend. Abraham was God's friend. Can you imagine? I took you from the ends of the earth, from its farthest corners I called you. I said, you're my servant. I've chosen you and have not rejected you. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. These are promises to you. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. All who rage against you will surely be ashamed and disgraced. Those who oppose you will be as nothing and perish. Though you search for your enemies, you will not find them. Those who wage war against you will be as nothing at all. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Do not be afraid, you worm, Jacob. Boy, that puts it in perspective, doesn't it? You worm. In other words, we're as little as worms. Little Israel, do not fear, for I myself will help you, declares the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. See, I will make you into a threshing sledge, new and sharp with many teeth. You will thresh the mountains and crush them and reduce the hills to chaff. This is a victory, people. Listen to this. This is the end of the world victory, okay? I don't know that that's what he's talking about specifically. This is what I'm thinking. This is our victory, and this is what it's going to look like. All you who follow God, who obey, do your best to obey, okay? I know it's not easy sometimes. Sometimes it's a process. But let me say this, all of you that have set your hearts on the Lord, who have set your hearts towards him to obey him, this is your victory right here. You will winnow them. The wind will pick them up and a gale will blow them away. But you will rejoice in the Lord and glory in the Holy One of Israel. I'm going to read that again. You think of this as victory, okay? This is absolutely beautiful. All who rage against you will surely be ashamed and disgraced. Those who oppose you will be as nothing and perish. Though you search for your enemies, you will not find them. Those who wage war against you will be as nothing at all. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Do not be afraid, you worm, Jacob. Little Israel, do not fear. We're part of little Israel, people. For I myself will help you, declares the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. See, I will make you into a threshing sledge, new and sharp with many teeth. You will thresh the mountains and crush them and reduce the hills to chaff. You will winnow them. The wind will pick them up and a gale will blow them away, but you will rejoice in the Lord and glory in the Holy One of Israel. Now understand this, okay? He's not going to take a bunch of people and literally make them into a threshing sledge with many teeth. It's a picture of the power that we are going to have against evil. When he says you're going to crush the mountains, you're going to make them into chaff. Okay, that's talking about destroying wickedness and putting an end to everything that's so wicked here. Okay, next verse. The poor and needy search for water, but there is none. Their tongues are parched with thirst, but I, the Lord, will answer them. I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them. I will make rivers flow on barren heights and springs within the valleys. If you're struggling, I want you to picture this, okay? I will turn the desert into pools of water and the parched ground into springs. I will put in the desert the cedar and the acacia, the myrtle and the olive. I'll set junipers in the wasteland, the fir and the cypress together so that people may see and know, may consider and understand that the hand of the Lord has done this, that the Holy One of Israel has created it. You can afford to hope, people. You can afford to hope. Present your case, says the Lord. Set forth your arguments, says Jacob's king. Tell us, you idols, what is going to happen. Tell us what the former things were so that we may consider them and know their final outcome. So he's making fun of wooden and gold and silver idols. Or declare to us the things to come. Tell us what the future holds so we may know that you are gods. Do something, whether good or bad, so that we'll be dismayed and filled with fear. But you're less than nothing, and your works are utterly worthless. Whoever chooses you is detestable. I'm going to tell you something here. One of the things that people go to are horoscopes. That is utterly useless, people. You know, I mean, there is a metaphysical world for sure, but we don't worship it. Okay, I mean, there is astronomy and stars and heavens, but, you know, if you're someone who studies it, I understand. But just as a layperson, my gosh, all you need to do is be in awe of it and wonder after it. You don't need to start charting it and saying you were born this day and the moon was here. I'm sorry. You know, if you think I'm making fun of it, I kind of am. I know Christians who take stock in horoscopes and it's soothsaying. It's ridiculous. It's an idol. Let go of it. So let's read that again. But you're less than nothing, and your works are utterly worthless. Whoever chooses you is detestable. I've stirred up one from the north, and he comes, one from the rising sun who calls on my name. He treads on rulers as if they were mortar, as if he were a potter treading the clay. Who told of this from the beginning so we could know, or beforehand so we could say he was right? No one told of this. No one foretold it. No one heard any words from you. I was the first to tell Zion, look, here they are. I gave to Jerusalem a messenger of good news. I look, but there's no one among the gods to give counsel, meaning the idols. No one to give answer when I ask them. See, they're all false. Their deeds amount to nothing. Their images are but wind and confusion. I love you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. And we do have more than 50 chapters here. I don't know why I thought there were only 50, because I love Isaiah 53 and 54. So I'm not sure of the exact count, but we're going to go on tomorrow and we are going to pick it up at Isaiah 42. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. You hang in there, okay? The world's wacky right now, but the Lord is our rescuer. He's our help. He's our refuge. Remember, pools in the desert. Imagine that. Pools in the desert. Hang on to hope, okay? We don't have to trust in man. They can act as cockamamie as they want to act. And all we have to do is sit back and trust in the Lord. Don't watch the news and start to get tense and feel like, oh, they have no power at all when it comes to the Lord. The Lord's given them this little sprinkle of power right now, but they're going to go away in a whiff, in a breath. Okay? They're not going to stand. They can do their worst while they're here, but they're little tiny people, worms. They're a worm. And we have a great God, and you're safe in him, okay? So you just watch the news as entertainment if you watch it at all. And you don't worry about anything, okay? Don't worry. Watch the world twist and turn. It's very interesting to see man's best ideas and to watch man try to control each other. Very interesting. So I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.